about social studies standards, I'd like to honor that Madisonian approach today by articulating opposition to this policy while acknowledging the principled and committed approach to public service I've always seen illustrated in my conversations with the author of this bill, as well as the co-sponsors that serve on the subcommittee. With that said, in my view, legislation should always be designed to achieve one of two goals. Either it should first remedy a problem that exists, or second, prevent a problem that might develop. 4374, as it was written, achieves neither of these goals. Regarding the first goal, South Carolina does not have a problem with our existing standards or our standards writing process. The current standards have been
and I can send it to you if it's helpful, in guidance from the U.S. Department of Education that specifically addressed this issue. Title VI is the federal law that prohibits educational institutions that receive federal funding from discriminating against students. That applies for K-12 and post-secondary education. They released the guidance that established that DEI programs and provided examples of what that could look like, including culturally relevant teaching. Some of the programs we're thinking about are special ceremonies that are culturally inclusive for a particular underrepresented community that's on a campus. If we're thinking about the fact that veteran students have unique needs that perhaps I, as someone who was not a part of the military, do not have, those are the missions of those programs. And this guidance establishes that is not a form of discrimination categorically on its own. Now, if there are specific instances that you would like to raise that you think that a diversity, equity, and inclusion program is harming an individual student, that would be helpful for, I think, all of us to hear. But DEI programs are not a form of discrimination. In fact, they are instituted in many cases to remedy discrimination that have been faced by communities like the one that many of the people in this room belong to, and I'm sure they can expound further on their experiences on college campuses in this state.
Thank you for your testimony, and I think this bill will address.
And so I'd like to say to our students who are here today that it is unfortunate, in my opinion, that there are adults and narratives who have actively misled you about what this regulation does and doesn't do.
Real quickly, I would like to preface my statement by informing you that I was not misled. I've done the research, I've read the regulation, I'm here by my own choice. With that said, 43170 regulation proposes total ban of sexual content at every age level. But is that what's best for students?
I'm one of those misinformed students that you were talking about, and I would just like to say that this is 7 pages of nonsense.
In Federalist 10, James Madison worried for our country's future with factions. Small groups that seek to make decisions for the whole often don't take into consideration the inclusive aims of our democracy. By giving potentially harmful people the ability to affect school libraries in all counties in South Carolina, we give factions too much power to disrupt and dismantle public education.
Is your responsibility to these handful of extremists or to your students? I have 2 more years in the public school system, and I will be showing up to every school board meeting, locally and statewide.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Empathy, compassion, and how important it is to understand history and learn from it, then we are not setting them up for success. How will children, especially white children, learn about unconscious biases if they can't learn and discuss the systems of oppression and exploitation that caused them in the first place? Racism, classism, and queerphobia are embedded in the systems we rely on every day.